Have you ever wondered how much income that you need to have in order to live the lifestyle you want to live? Or let's use the flip side of that. Maybe you are in a dead end job that you don't like, and you're trying to replace that dead end job with entrepreneurial income. So, have you ever thought about how much income do I need to make in order to quit that job or to live the lifestyle I desire? Well, that's what this video is about, your lifestyle income, how to determine how much you need to make to live the lifestyle you desire. So let's go through this. We're going to determine how much you need to make on a monthly basis to live the lifestyle you desire. And this is a 3-step process, and I'm going to go through each of these steps step by step so that you understand it. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if at the end of this video you think you have somebody that would find it valuable, please share it, like it, and do all that stuff we always ask for when you come to our channels, so that we can grow our communities. Okay, so how do we determine what our monthly income is? Well, step one is we have to determine what our monthly expenses are first. And we're going to start with mortgage and rent. And I'll start off with lifestyle income first, and then switch to if you're quitting your W-2 for each of these steps. So mortgage or rent. This is the home or apartment. If you're wanting to live in an apartment, let's say you live in New York City and you want a co-op or however they do that stuff in New York City, or you just want to rent and you don't have any interest in owning a home. What is that forever if you're doing lifestyle? And I don't see renting being a thing here, but for some people, they don't want to own. So what would that rental income be? What would that mortgage payment be? So think about what interest rates are now and what they potentially could be when this happens. Let's say it's 3 years or 5 years down the road, maybe even 10 years. Just keep in mind, don't go back to where we were 2-3 years ago with interest rates. They aren't going to go back there. So try to use kind of where we are, maybe a little higher. We are in the long-term interest rate average right now that we've been in for the last 50 something years, and figure up per the where you want to live, size of home you want to live in, and what that cost would be. All right. For your W-2, you want to get rid of your W-2 and just be able to quit your job to be an entrepreneur. Then from your entrepreneurial activities, enough to cover mortgage or rent that you're currently paying now. Cars. Again, for the W-2ers, since I'm segueing right there, what would be your car payments that you are paying right now? Or if you need to trade in a car or you need a second car, what would that additional car payment be using today's interest rate? And cars typically amortize over 6 years, depending on your credit situation. So for the lifestyle you want to live, what cars or car do you want? A lot of people, they like these exotic cars. They want an Aston Martin or a Ferrari or Lamborghini. I think all that's crazy. Total waste of money. Me personally, I'm a little more practical. For mine, it's a big utility truck. I've actually had one in the past. I'd like to get another one. My wife and I want a together hot rod, which would be Eleanor. So if you've ever seen the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, the 67 fastback Mustang that they destroy, I cried at the end of the movie, that would be Eleanor. Those cars are very expensive today. As a car restorer, builder myself, I don't want to restore an Eleanor. I'd like to buy one either off the auction floor from a private owner already restored. So that's a pretty penny. So I have to think about that when I do my monthly number. So that's how I look at it. And then any other cars you may need. For like my wife, she wants a luxury SUV. Me, I want that utility truck. And then we want that hot rod for the both of us that we can go to car shows and stuff with, rather than just my rat rod that I've got. All right. So you have to think about all that and put a monthly number to that. Even if you pay cash for it, go ahead and put what the monthly payment would be, just so you have that cushion for the future. Travel. If you're wanting to travel a month, 2 months, 3 months out of the year, think about where you want to go, how much that travel would cost based on today's airline prices, maybe factor in some inflation 3, 5 years, 10 years down the road, depending on when you want to get to that lifestyle income based on your goals, and then divide that number by 12, and that would be your monthly travel expense that you would put away for your travel for that year. For W-2s, you would just look at what are you doing already on an annual basis, whether it's a week a year, 2 weeks a year, a month a year, and divide that by 4, and that becomes your travel expense. Entertainment, same thing. W-2, what are you paying for entertainment? This could be things like hobbies. If you play golf, if you are like me and have a car habit and you're building hot rods and stuff like that, this could be theater or anything you do for entertainment. Like I said before, golf, stuff like that, or whatever it is that you do for entertainment. Try to break that down into a monthly number. For W-2ers, what are you currently doing? Have you budgeted for entertainment in the past? And again, use that on a monthly basis. Then we've got insurance. Insurance just keeps skyrocketing. And if you live in Texas, you almost can't predict this right now, or along the Gulf Coast at all. I know my insurance for my home went up $600 just in the last 12 months alone. And that's a month, not a year. 600 a month, which has affected my mortgage payment. So insurance is a big one. Put some good thought to it. You're going to need medical insurance. You don't have an employer paying it anymore. So what would your medical insurance cost be? If you're W-2, then you need to think about how much the employer pays for your medical insurance if you currently have it, your dental, your vision, and everything else, life, and how much would that cost you if your employer wasn't covering it. And you should be able to see that when you get your W-2s at the end of the year, because all that's broken down by cost. Clothing is another one. What are you currently spending, or what type of clothing are you going to want in the future? This can be real extravagant clothing to really not making much change at all, even for lifestyle. I have a certain wardrobe that I like when I go out and I go to conferences and things like that. I dress up. I don't wear a tie. I wear a coat, like a blazer, something like that with slacks. If I'm at a CCIM event, it's the same thing. I always have a coat, especially if I'm on a board or a committee. Rare do I ever wear a tie. Matter of fact, I haven't even worn a tie, and I can't tell you how long, maybe 10 years, unless it's a black tie affair, and then I have a tux for that. Next is food. What do you spend on a monthly basis? What do you want to be able to spend on a monthly basis? Now, you can put restaurants here, or you can put restaurants under entertainment. It's up to you. Again, W-2, what you're currently spending. For lifestyle, what do you anticipate spending, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of entertaining when you are living that lifestyle you desire. And then finally, utilities. If your future home is a very large home, then you're going to have to determine what the utilities would be for that home. You might be able to look that up in the area that it's in, or just take what you do now and figure it up by square footage, and then use that ratio to determine what your utilities will be for your lifestyle, taking into factor inflation. Again, for W-2, it's just what your current utilities are and being able to cover that from your entrepreneurial activities. Add all of these up, and that becomes the monthly total that you need to cover your living expenses, whether it be your lifestyle or your current, in order to quit your W-2. But that doesn't mean that's your monthly number. Actually, it's nowhere close to your monthly number. So that takes us to step 2. Step 2, we look at, it's not really an acronym. They're just letters because the acronym wouldn't make sense. So R stands for revenue, which means from entrepreneurial activity. If you're still in your W-2 income goes in P, and we'll get to P in a second. You probably already have an idea what P is, but 100% of revenue from entrepreneurial activities. So if you're investing, syndicating, capital raising, flipping, wholesaling, whatever it is you're doing, whatever that entrepreneurial activity or your business is, then 100% of that revenue goes in this bucket. And you can create separate bank accounts for each of these, or you can just call them buckets and have 2 or 3 bank accounts. I recommend 3 bank accounts, and I'll tell you which ones in a minute. And I have 3 myself. Next is taxes. Now, depending on where you live is going to be what you take out for taxes. So now we're depleting from that 100% of revenue. There's things we have to cover, not just those monthly expenses that we live off of. Taxes is one of those. So now we got to reduce those taxes down. For most of the country, 30% is fine. If you live in major cities in California, or you live in New York City or Miami or somewhere like that, maybe you need to come up a little bit on those taxes. These days in Texas, you might need to come up a little bit on those taxes. Texas has gone a little crazy lately with taxes. Hopefully they'll figure out what they've done and fix themselves eventually. But we have to reduce this from that revenue. Next is your personal account. Okay. These are those monthly expenses. So here's the key to this, that if you take those monthly expenses and that total, and they belong in this bucket, you can already see before we even finish this what your monthly number is. But I'll give you that exact equation in step 3. Next is investment. How much money do you want to put towards investment? So with investment and charity, there's 10% each here. If you're W-2 and you're just getting towards entrepreneurial activities, you might be limiting your investment in charity a little bit so that you can put personal maybe a little bit higher. It just depends. I don't recommend that, but that may be where you have to be initially until you start getting more revenue in. And then, of course, your last one is operations. Any business should be able to operate at 30%. Okay, so if you are operating at 30%, you can either take operations and throw it in the revenue bucket like I do, or you can leave it in its own bucket and create an account for just paying for operations from your entrepreneurial activity. The 3 bank accounts I created from these buckets is I have my revenue bucket, my tax bucket, and my personal bucket. Okay. And investment and charity come out of revenue. Operations also comes out of revenue. So that's how I do mine. Once we've identified all these numbers, it becomes really easy to identify your monthly income, which you've probably already figured out. So step 3 is divide the income from step 1 by 20%, which is your personal bucket. So 5 times whatever that monthly number is, and that total becomes your lifestyle or the money that you need in order to be able to quit your job. So a lot of people say, oh, hey, I need about $10,000 a month and I can quit my job. But if you go through this and you divide that monthly number by 0.2, you're going to find that it's going to probably be much higher than just $10,000. And you may be quitting your job too soon because you didn't take certain factors into consideration. And that's why I wanted to go through all this. Okay, so the last thing is multiply the remaining buckets by the revenue so that you can understand where all the money is going. Now you have your monthly income to live the lifestyle you desire. So I'm going to finish with this. Never will you make more than, seldom will you make as much as the amount you believe is a lot of money. I hope you found this video valuable. Again, please subscribe to the channel so you always get valuable videos like this. And if you thought this was valuable, please share it to those you think that could use it. Make sure you like it, and I will see you guys on that next video.